Now we will model the light bulb, or a spot, as it's called. And for that we start with the sphere. As usual, decrease the subdivisions. I use here 10 and here in the height 8. And I created a new scene for that, and then I will import the lamp later onto the desk lamp. And we will just try to do the rough form. It's not so difficult, I guess. Switch to X-ray because I go here to my edge loops and scale them a little bit more, but be sure that you don't just take here this one and then it's just scaling in one direction. Be aware of that. So always scale in this mode, okay, or in the perspective, and take the middle one, so it's easier to control everything. Okay, I push that down and then just push it a little bit. So then I will I may push that just a little bit down, and also that area, so I don't need to scale it actually. But here now I have to switch here to extruding, and for that I have to move. I will take the whole geometry and vertices because I need the thickness of the lamp going down, or the base. So I'm just scaling it up so that it finds roughly the thickness that I want here. Push my point here a little bit inside, and then take the vertices here. Okay. Be aware what you select on the other side. I just push my image here out of the way because it annoys me in my process. So go to faces, then select again, so that just the faces here are selected. Then extrude it. If this happens, because I just did the cable before, and there I increased my subdivisions. So be aware that before you extrude here, I go backwards 2 times so that there is nothing here extruded. And go to, where's my extrude tool? Here, no, wrong one. Extrude, and I have to go to subdivisions 1 again, so that it's just extruding 1 time and not a million times. Extrude here and then push it down. I just do it here 1 time and scale it because I want here a sharper edge anyway. Okay, just 1 time and then extrude a 2nd time. And actually I can extrude it down to, I model these parts separately, so the glass structure and the metal structure, please separate them. They look, of course, that they are one thing, but they're actually 2. And I do another extrude, just push it a little bit more outside, and of course scale it down so that it is, let me see here, yeah, not too bad. So that's my glass structure. I think this looks fine. Maybe you can here adjust a little bit thicker if you want to. And For the metal thing here on the bottom, I will use a cylinder, also do the subdivisions to 10, scale it down, of course. So, scale was too much. And I use here subdivisions. Actually, I just put in the height too, and also in the caps that you see here in this area, because I might need them. Actually, yes, I need them because, oops, I just take this edge loop and push it a little bit upwards. Then actually I did the caps so that I can actually put here some more edge loops inside. Insert edge loop. I take actually 2. Okay. And when I don't do the caps, I can't insert an edge loop because there's always going to a star form. And what I want to do, I just select it here with the paint select tool. It's always quite nice. And with the B key, you can increase or decrease the size of the brush. And so you can easily select faces by just brushing. And with the control button, control, you can deselect stuff. Okay, just wanted to select all of them, and the reason why I do this, I just put a little hole here inside, so when I connect these two, they fit together roughly. And of course I have here a little stuff, but now this looks much more real, the connection. Okay, then I go on extruding here, and we will just ignore this twisted structure. So we just take the bottom faces. Not always, but sometimes I just select all of them and then deselect the other. Be aware what you select. Maybe I should do this in that view. This would make my life a little easier. So then I just push it down and scale it a little bit. Of course I will afterwards do also some modification with this edge loop. Then I extrude it. Push it down, scale it even thinner. Do extrude again, push it down. Now I go right here, that area. So I adjust here with the last. So here I have the last thick part. Extrude again. Scale it to this thickness. And now I can actually take this, the inner part. And what I do here is with the arrows, I can increase or decrease my selection, and this sometimes helps me. And you can find this also here in grow or shrink selection. You see, I mean these symbols. So what I do is, oh, did too much now. So just select them here again. Push it down and extrude again, scale is. And I have to also adjust here a little bit more. Okay. And also here, I take this one here on the top, push it down so that I get a harder edge here. Okay. So, and maybe I need, yeah, here on the bottom, it's also a little bit too smooth, so just do an edge loop here where I want a harder edge, and also here so it doesn't smooth out so much. And then the tricky part will begin. And for this spiral twist, there is a cool tool where we can now connect two things. Just first of all, go to Create Polygon Primitives, and it's called Helix. And what that does, you see it, is it creates this helix where I can say, okay, how much? How is it stretched? How thick it is, and the radius of the curls itself. So now I have to find a good combination of that. Just a second. So I found a good combination. So your helix should have all these values because they will work fine then later on. So, but what's the issue here now is, of course, of my form here that is thicker, I have to use another cool tool that Maya offers. So this should be how it looks like also in your screen. Then the next step is that we get this helix a little bit thicker here also in the top. And we won't do this by hand, we will do this by a nice tool. You find that in Deform, Nonlinear Flare. This flare tool is, I just show you and then you will see. You get here a handle, you see it also here, flare 1. And what you do is at the end of the flare, so I can actually, you see that, giving that a new kind of form, okay? Of course, not too much. A value that will work fine here is 1.2 with the end flare. And when you have a look at the geometry, it should be, I guess, nearly the same everywhere. It depends, of course, how you created your geometry, but with this value, you should be fine, okay? It should look like this, okay? And when you have a look at such a form, I have to check what's the word for Gewinde is. It's called thread. So we have a slightly tapered thread here. And this thread is actually smoothing out here when you have a look at such a light bulb. And what you do before we do the cutting off is that we take the face at the end and extrude it one time so that it actually comes out here, okay? And maybe I push it also to the side a little bit. So you should see here the whole face, and we will also do this here at the bottom. So take the face and extrude it one time. Push it so far that you see the whole face, and maybe I push it down a little bit so it has the same direction. And I also may insert here another edge loop because later on in the process it will help the geometry to form quite well. So I just do here in the middle another one, and also where have it also, oops, and also here maybe one or two also, okay, so that I have actually nearly the same size everywhere. So, and now, oh, I already did this step before, so I'm just deleting that smooth face, you don't have it. So now it looks again my rough geometry. And before we do the cutting off, we have to smooth this geometry out. And I will do that, but before I copy that, because maybe I need the form when you don't do it well or it won't work well. So copy your geometry with Command D, Steuerung D for duplicate, or just go to Edit, Duplicate. Okay, here you have the shortcut. I just hide it for maybe I will need it later, okay? But I always, before I do any Boolean stuff, this is the thing called, which we are doing now, I always keep my rough geometry, okay? So I hide that. And what I do now with this geometry is mesh smooth. And I leave this subdivision here to level 1. And what this does is actually creating double subdivisions, and it smoothes everything out. Of course, when I decrease actually my divisions, I get a very high resoluted geometry. I don't want that. Okay, keep the subdivisions to 1, and I'm happy with that. And when you now have a look actually at my geometry, so the lines are not always perfectly following, they're not always fixing or fitting to each other, but it doesn't matter in this way. But what you should do actually is, when I just push this to the side, is delete that one, and that one. Okay, it would just helps you to prevent any ugly geometry later on. So get rid of that, and also get rid of the vertices you don't need, so that the geometry is actually quite nice here. Okay, then I push back my helix, and so it should actually be in between here, okay, because this is the part we are cutting away. And now I think I'm ready for the next tool. Be aware that you save your scene before you do this next step. And then select the basic stuff, and then the second one, the helix, and then go to Mesh, Booleans, Difference. And what this does, you see it? Yeah, it's cutting away my helix actually. And of course, when I go to the 3 mode now, my geometry is a little bit not so perfect, and this would be a lot of work to refine, but actually in this case we will leave it that way. We just check everywhere if there, here in the middle everything is fine. That's also because I deleted the edge loops before, but here it looks a little bit strange, and there I have to do a little bit of rework. What means that I try to create connections where I can do them, so they won't smooth out that ugly. That means go to the Touch and Weld tool, and oh, what's the one here? This one, Touch and Weld. And there I connect points which are lying really close to each other, okay? And here in this case, I will just take all of them and merge them to one point. And what I also do is I do a touch it weld from, so it depends completely on how geometry was formed. So your process of refining will be a little bit different than mine here. Just go there. And here with the multi-cut tool, I create a connection here. And I also do one from this point to that one and see how the geometry is working. Now it is smoothing out a little bit better, you see? Okay, and here I have a quite hard area. And so I go to the touch it weld tool and pull that point here and that point here and see what happens. Yeah, much better. So then go to the bottom and also I will check. Yeah, you see that? Doesn't look fine here. And I still have my flare handle here, but be aware when you delete that, your geometry might be destroyed. I'm just trying, but I saved my scene before. Yes, don't delete it because there's history connected to it, and you should delete that by delete by type history, or non-deform history. Oh, when you delete the history, then you can get rid. Delete all by type history. Okay, now it's going away. I just selected the wrong thing, and now the handle is away, and it doesn't affect the geometry anymore. And here I have to do some connection stuff that it gets smoother. So I also do here a little bit of touch it welding. Connect this to this, this to this, here to here, this one to that point. Also here, because there is so much points on one. So, and I try to see what happens. Yeah, it's a little bit better. I may just push them a little bit more inside. Also to a touch it weld connection here. So just do it. Oops, because the other one was selected. So let's see how it looks like. It's not perfect, but it actually, I should have placed the helix before a little bit deeper, so be aware when you do that, or do it again, because now it's quite difficult to create the geometry a little bit better, because it cut away here too much. So the only thing, because actually you see here, this is cut away and this isn't quite cool here. So, but you got the process, and that's what I wanted. Actually, we won't see this in rendering, because when we position we will position the lamp anyway inside. I just wanted to show you the process. And well, that's how we create a light bulb.